All right, folks, this is what you do. You subscribe to Mark Rogers TV, and you get your dose of Alabama football each and every week with Stephen M. Smith from Touchdown Alabama. So we provide the segments on topics, and so you can pick and choose the topics that you want to hear about. You go to Podbean or iTunes, and you search Mark Rogers TV, and you get the complete conversation. You follow Stephen on Twitter at SM Smith _TD Al Mag. That's Touchdown Alabama. You join him there and you get the best in Alabama and SEC football coverage, and follow me at Mark Rogers TV. When we collect enough comments, then we come at Steven and we dump all those comments that you provide there at Mark Rogers TV. And we address those comments and have a nice little discussion there as well. So we have broken down positions across the board, Alabama and the SEC. So check it out there. We still have quite a bit of work to do, but we are knocking out the cornerbacks and safeties here. Stephen, I think it's time to look at the entire conference and try to find the best players for 2017. So we've knocked out the wide receivers, the cornerbacks, and the safeties. Now we're going to hit you up for inside linebackers. And what a plethora of great talent we've had at linebacker in the SEC over the years, and a number of guys have been lost to the NFL draft this past season. When you talk about Kendall Beckwith and Reuben Foster, and we could go down the line. So you've studied up and you're ready to give us your top 5 at inside linebacker.
I'm ready to give us the top 5. I'm very proud of this 5. Did a lot of film on this entire position as a whole. And before we give the top 5, I mean, let's just give a brief rundown on everybody who's coming back to the SEC. You look at Sean Dion Hamilton of Alabama. He's coming back. Trey Williams of Auburn is back. David Reese of Florida. Roquan Smith of Georgia. Jordan Jones of Kentucky. Donnie Alexander of LSU. DeMarcus Gates of Ole Miss. Just so much talent coming back to this position at inside linebacker. And at number 5, as I start this list, number 5, I've got Roquan Smith of Georgia. And what makes this interesting, Roquan Smith, just a season ago, Mark, 95 tackles to lead the team. He had 5 tackles for loss, which was 4th on the team, 3 quarterback hurries, 2 forced fumbles. And as I said, what makes Roquan Smith interesting, if you go back to 2009 for just a moment, it was Kirby Smart's 2nd full year at defensive coordinator for Alabama. And he had a linebacker by the name of Rolando McClain. Rolando McClain was a junior. His 2nd full year under Kirby Smart as a defensive coordinator. Kirby Smart's 2nd full year in Alabama as a defensive coordinator. Rolando McClain in 2009, we're talking 104 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, 14 quarterback hurries, 5 pass breakups, won the Butkus Award in 2009, and got the Crimson Tide to a BCS national championship. Now, am I saying Roquan Smith is the next Rolando McClain? I'm not saying that. However, the situation is eerily similar. This is Kirby Smart's 2nd full year at Georgia as a head coach, and in his 2nd full year, he's got a linebacker in Roquan Smith in his 2nd full year trying to captain this Georgia defense. And alongside him, you've got guys like Davin Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter at outside linebacker. But number 5, I've got Roquan Smith. He's smart. He's instinctive. He is a superior, strong tackler. At number 4, Alexander of LSU. Since 2000, starting this thing off with Brady James, since 2000, the LSU Tigers have had 8 inside linebackers drafted since 2000. Donnie Alexander will be number 9, in my opinion, falling under that great lineage that had Brady James. And you mentioned Kendall Beckwith, guys, just a bunch of guys, Layman Barrow, so much talent from this LSU linebacking corps in the National Football League. Donnie Alexander will be next. 45 tackles a season ago, 5 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hurries, and a pass breakup. And he's taken over for not just Kendall Beckwith, but also Duke Riley, who got drafted in this past NFL draft. So number 4, Donnie Alexander, who's going to try to help the likes of head coach Ed Orgeron get the Tigers back to not just competing against Alabama, but hopefully beating Alabama, winning a Southeastern Conference championship, and the ultimate goal, winning a national title. At number 3, I look at Trey Williams of Auburn. And Trey Williams last year, 67 tackles, 3.5 of those for loss, did have a sack, 4 quarterback hurries, and 2 pass breakups. Trey Williams has got to be the anchor of an Auburn defense, that loses or that has lost Carl Lawson and Montravis Adams off that defensive line. Auburn's been waiting on 5-star Byron Cowart to finally break out. Lived up to the 5-star billing. Hopefully this year could be the year. Marlon Davidson has played well on that defensive line. Of course, there's also Dontavius Russell. Auburn has Jeff Holland, who's a strong outside linebacker, but Trey Williams puts this thing in motion. Trey Williams has got to captain this group and lead this group to an SEC championship. Well, first an SEC West title. You got to beat Alabama. He's got to lead them to an SEC West title, and then a Southeastern Conference championship and an opportunity at the college football playoffs. So Trey Williams is my number 3. At number 2, I've got Sean Dion Hamilton of Alabama. Sean Dion was having a major year last year before he hurt his ACL against Florida in the Southeastern Conference title game. A young man who had 64 tackles a season ago, 9 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, had 2 interceptions, including 1 off Florida quarterback Austin Appleby in Alabama's 54-16 win over the Gators. With Reuben Foster gone, Sean Dion Hamilton steps up as the next man to anchor this group at inside linebacker. He kind of reminds me of C.J. Mosley. He speaks quietly but carries a big stick. But in this case, Sean Dion got to be a little bit more vocal, with this group, as he is the guy. If you look at Alabama inside linebackers in the 2000s era and even before Nick Saban, we're talking about D'Amico Ryans before Nick Saban, but in the Saban era, Rolando McClain, Dante Hightower, C.J. Mosley, Reggie Ragland, Reuben Foster, and now Sean Dion Hamilton. It is his time. And at number 1, busy, but I think this guy's the number 1 inside linebacker coming back to the SEC, and that's Jordan Jones out of Kentucky. A tackling machine, 109 tackles last year, led everybody on this list where tackles are concerned, 15.5 tackles for loss, had 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hurries. He led Kentucky in every single one of these categories. His 8.4 tackles a game was 3rd in the SEC. Jordan Jones, tackling monster, and with him coming back with Denzel Ware and Josh Allen and Derek Beatty in the secondary, Mike Edwards in the secondary, this is a very experienced Kentucky defense that's got a chance, a legitimate chance, to win the SEC East. I'm actually picking Kentucky to win the SEC East because the East is such a toss-up. As great as Georgia is, Mark, as great as Georgia is and the talent that Georgia has not won an SEC championship since 2005. Maybe Kirby Smart gets them right this year, hopefully. But I look at Kentucky, has got his finger finally on that pulse. The Cats coming off its first winning season since 2009, its first bowl season since 2010, and Jordan Jones captaining this group. This is going to be a very exciting group to watch. So running back through this top 5 again, number 5, Roquan Smith of Georgia, 4, Donnie Alexander of LSU, 3, Trey Williams, Auburn, 2, Sean Dion Hamilton, Alabama, number 1, Jordan Jones, Kentucky.
Now, Stephen M., your selection of Kentucky to win the SEC Eastern Division, that could be a conversation for another time, because I would love to dive a little bit further into that. You mentioned Jordan Jones' massive statistics. He's a great player, no question. I did kind of give our friend Kevin McGuffey from Last Word on College Football a bit of an issue in regards to he was spouting off the numbers as well. And I said, when your defense is giving up 13 and 14 play drives, there's a lot of tackles on the field to get during those situations. Obviously, when the defense is hung out to dry for quite a long time, your best player is going to make tackles and have those opportunities. Stephen, great top five. I know how difficult of a process this is because I do it on the national scene with the top 10 in the nation, and I may sort through 25, 30, 35 players to grind it down to 10. Same thing in the conference ranks with the top five. So great job there. I know there's a few other guys that you really like. I was looking at Leo Lewis. We discussed him before we started to record here and replacing Richie Brown. I think it's interesting what he did, with 79 tackles and replacing Richie Brown. He was a top prospect out of the state of Mississippi that Dan Mullen was able to keep at home. DeMarcus Gates coming into a senior campaign, really telling tale in terms of his production coming off a couple near 80 tackle seasons was that he got suspended late in the year, missed the end of the Vandy game. So the Rebels, of course, collapsed down the stretch. They were in a 14-10 battle with Vandy. He left the field, and goodbye, Vandy. The Commodores just routed the Rebels from there and hung up 38 points. So he was severely missed, then missed the first half of the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. And the Bulldogs, not an offensive juggernaut, put up 55 points against Ole Miss, and Nick Fitzgerald ran up 258 yards rushing. So, again, DeMarcus Gates showing how much he was missed by the Ole Miss Rebels late in the season. And I know you like David Reese, the young player out of Florida as well.
That guy's going to be good. David Reese is going to be a special young man as he takes over for the departed Jarrett Davis and also Alex Anzalone, both of those guys going to the league. So David Reese is going to be pretty big time for Florida Gators.
All right, we talk Alabama football with Stephen M. Smith each and every Wednesday night. We make those videos available for you at Mark Rogers TV on YouTube, and the full conversation audio version on Podbean and iTunes. Just search Mark Rogers TV and you get your fill of Alabama football. And by extension, we talk the SEC top to bottom as well. Stephen, it's always a good time, man.
Always a great time, Mark. And hey, catch you again, same time, same place, every Wednesday.